Hello, welcome to The Watchers and our review of 2011. My name's Terence Edwards.
I'm Rhys Jones.
We hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and here's the news.
Marvel Studios have allegedly shortlisted 2 potential directors to helm Thor 2 after director Patty Jenkins departed the project citing creative differences. Daniel Minahan and Alan Taylor are now in the frame to direct. Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman and Tom Hiddleston will return for the sequel due in cinemas in November 2013.
New posters have been revealed for 2 of next summer's big blockbusters. A new teaser poster for The Amazing Spider-Man promises to tell the untold story, whilst a teaser for The Dark Knight Rises shows Bane walking away from a shattered Batman mask with the ominous tagline, "The legend ends."
Doctor Who showrunner Stephen Moffat has stated that the planned movie adaptation will remain faithful to the show. Moffat wrote on Twitter that any Doctor Who movie would be made by the BBC team, star the current TV Doctor, and certainly not be a Hollywood reboot.
And finally, a right-wing Fox network personality has accused the new Muppets movie of peddling communist propaganda. Eric Bolling has taken offence to the portrayal of a rich oil magnate who plans to drill beneath the Muppet Theatre. Bolling commented that it was nothing new for liberal Hollywood to show a successful businessman as evil, and that the film teaches children class warfare.
I've got a couple of films in my head, and I know you have too.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. One of the first films I saw this year was The King's Speech. British period dramas can have a tendency to be very stuffy, very rigid, but there was a real sense of fun to The King's Speech, and I mean, Colin Firth absolutely deserved the Oscar. He was brilliant as George. And the wonderful bromance, for want of a better word, between Colin Firth and Geoffrey Rush.
It's been basically a superhero year for me. It's been a year of blockbusters.
But it has been a fantastic year for comic book adaptations.
So I just mentioned the first one, and I think it was the first one that came out. So I'll try and do it in chronological order of the year.
Okay.
Which was Thor. This film managed to be a space opera while being a superhero movie, while at the same time tying into the Avengers Assemble. But what makes it fantastic is the performances. Let's not forget that it is Kenneth Branagh behind the lens. He has literally taken this film and said, right, it's a superhero movie by Marvel, but it's a great story. It's very Shakespearean as well.
Yeah,
that comes
absolutely,
across.
very
There's
much
so much like betrayal and themes and things.
Right, well, I'll go one for you as well, because one of the superhero movies that I really enjoyed this year was Captain America. I didn't expect to enjoy it nearly as much as I did. It was amazing. Chris Evans, absolutely brilliant as Steve Rogers. But look at the rest of the cast he's got around him. He's got Tommy Lee Jones, Stanley Tucci, Hugo Weaving, Hayley Atwell. The Marvel Studios know that they've got to up their game. And I think they're more than willing to do that, because they're willing to invest in decent scripts, good actors, brilliant set pieces of action, but also scripts and storylines that you really care about.
But then straight away I'll lead into, yes, it's another Marvel story, but it's not a Marvel Studios. It's 20th Century Fox. X-Men First Class is the film that I'm talking about. Completely put it back on the map. And it was very interesting because this film got made, and I think it was in a ridiculous amount of time. I think it was only 11 months from deciding to make it, to write it, to film it, to get it on the screen. X-Men was made that fast that I was kind of worried about it, even with the guy behind Kick-Ass, even behind the writers behind Kick-Ass, blah, 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 all this talk about them, but you can only big up people so much and they can still fall.
Absolutely.
Especially with a franchise this big, and especially with trying to, not only reboot it, but make it interesting. And yes, it's a prequel, and I so love the fact that it did tie in to the original trilogy.
Yeah.
As a film, it's fantastically written, fantastically directed, fantastically paced, fantastically performed, and such a young cast of unknowns who were the new first class of mutants. I just loved the film. I just loved it. I could sit here and talk about it for ages. I know we haven't got time.
No.
If you haven't seen X-Men First Class, that's one of the films I would generally say go watch.
Yeah. Right, I've got a bit of a left field choice now. This is probably something that you wouldn't expect of me. The In-Betweeners was an absolute joy.
Really? Because I've not seen that,
Absolute brilliant. It did what I needed it to do. I wanted to go into the cinema, kind of turn my brain off, enjoy a bit of comedy, and it delivered in spades. It was absolutely hilarious. One thing I will say for the four main leads, they are game. Lesser actors would have took a look at and run a mile. How you saw the TV show will very much dictate how you saw the film. If you enjoyed it on the small screen, you'll enjoy it on the big screen. Definitely.
Well, I might as well say the fourth comic book movie that I generally enjoyed, and it got a lot of slating and it got mixed reviews, which was the Green Lantern, which is from DC Comics, and this is about a intergalactic police patrol in the universe.
Right.
Already suspend disbelief within this movie.
Pretty much.
It's got that kind of... Yeah, it's got this large scope to it, but then the performances are fantastic. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is such a good Hal Jordan in it.
Right.
He's a brilliant Green Lantern. I don't care what people say, it's just a fantastic film. It's from the director of GoldenEye.
Right.
It is what it is. It's a comic book movie, but it's fantastic. It's one of my favourite this year.
Yeah. One of the other films that I really, really loved this year was of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's got a very British feel to it, but it's got that really bleached, grey world of the late 50s, early 60s, the spy games and all that. And you've got, an absolute plethora of brilliant performances throughout it, including what I think it's one of the best things Gary Oldman has ever done. It's an absolute masterclass in restrained acting. It is a very cerebral film. It's one that will make you think. It doesn't spoon feed you at all. As a spy thriller, it's second to none, and definitely one of my favourite films this year.
To finish on another note, one of the films that really touched me and I really loved this year was 50/50.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
We reviewed that a couple of weeks back, so I'm not going to go into that detail because it's a bit fresh.
Yeah.
It really affected me, and it was one of those movies that I think I will definitely remember of this year.
Yeah. But my final choice for kind of films of the year really was the adaptation of We Need to Talk About Kevin. For those who don't know, We Need to Talk About Kevin was a book written by Lionel Shriver, and it's a series of letters written by a woman whose son perpetrates a high school shooting. When it was announced that it was being made into a film, I thought it's a big ask to turn this into a film. They've done it brilliantly. It's very impressionistic. It's very snapshots, flicks back and forth in time between the present and the past. It starts with Tilda Swinton's character Eva, who's the mother of the Kevin, the titular killer, basically dealing with her life as the mother of a serial killer, and flicking back and forth to her family life with her husband, played wonderfully by John C. Reilly. Fans of the book have been split because whilst it's not a page-by-page faithful adaptation, if you're wanting something a little bit different, it's certainly not a feel-good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's certainly one of the most powerful ones I've seen this year. Green Hornet.
Oh my God, Green Hornet! If any of you have not seen Green Hornet, can I just say, don't. The worst casting I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Seth Rogen cannot be an action hero. It's not believable. And if it's a superhero movie, and if the guy that's playing the superhero is unbelievable as a superhero,
then you're losing before you even start, really, there, aren't you?
Yes.
Anything that you saw that you really didn't like?
Oh yeah, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Never mind the plot is dull.
Right.
That's one of your favourite novels of all time.
Wuthering Heights.
Right, so they take Wuthering Heights.
Yep.
They take the first chapter of Wuthering Heights.
You're right.
They make a film, just a film of chapter 1.
Righto.
So,
okay.
So think the worst prequel ever. This is it. Now, saying that, the good things about this film is it ended.
Right, okay, cool. Transformers, Dark of the Moon. Oh dear God, what possessed me to sit through that?
I think this one though is the genuine split of opinion.
Yeah,
because
I really enjoyed it.
I got from it what I wanted to get from it. I got a popcorn movie which was about giant robots fighting with a limited plot and a lot of action.
Yeah.
I went in knowing I was going to get
Yeah.
that, and it happened to be directed by Michael Bay, who specialises
in things
in
like
that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I it's like the baked bean analogy again. I got what it said on the tin.
Don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting to go in there and see some highbrow art house movie. I know I went in with eyes open, but I don't believe that I am in the wrong for expecting more than what I got.
No, completely. But I think this summer the bar was so high within the blockbusters.
Yeah, very true.
That there was such a high bar that this one kind of fell short.
Yeah,
to the Thors of this world.
Way short, unfortunately. Yeah, I was just wondering, have there been any this year that you've missed that you really wanted to see?
Oh yeah. There's one that pops in my head straight away that I missed this summer, which was J.J. Abrams' Super 8.
Ah, right.
Which was basically, I've heard it's like a kind of homage to the 1980s kind of films like Goonies, Gremlins.
I think that it's one that you really enjoy.
Brilliant.
So
because you've said to me it's really good. So.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see that one. The one that I missed, which I am absolutely gutted that I have missed, is Drive. Ryan Gosling, man of the moment, as a stunt driver who gets involved in a heist. You know, again, fantastic cast, and I'm gutted to have missed it because everyone I know who has seen it has nothing but unqualified praise for it. The one that I personally cannot wait to see next year is The Dark Knight Rises.
Definitely. I want to see how that saga ends. I want to see exactly how they finish it off.
I cannot think of a film that I have been such anticipation for years.
You can remember the last time you were this excited. I've now sat here now, remember the last time I was this looking forward to a film.
Yeah.
Which was 1999 when Star Wars returned with The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
So let's really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that's been re-released.
Yes, it is.
Next year in February in
3D.
The other film that I'm really hyped about next year is The Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm giddy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a massive Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Joss Whedon is directing.
Oh, yes.
You know, this guy knows how to do a ensemble cast. You know, this guy knows how to get people playing off well together. I mean, I think there's not much I can say about this film that people don't know. I just cannot wait.
Since we're on the subject of superhero movies, one that I'm looking forward to in the coming year is The Amazing Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Really. I think, whilst another origin story isn't strictly necessary.
It's not necessary.
But, you know, thankfully you've got a better actor in...
I agree with you.
Andrew Garfield
completely.
than Tobey Maguire. The teaser poster, they're pimping this as the untold story. So basically they're going back to Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, which I think is an interesting take on things. Different, it's one that the fanboys will know. But
yeah, it's what the comic book basically was.
But I think it's going to be, a decent slice of superhero movie action, even if it's not, anything more than that movie.
I'm looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to a new Spider-Man movie. I'm used to them recasting in this modern day and age. I mean, and they can reboot it.
Yeah.
But there is no need to tell how he became Spider-Man again.
No, there isn't.
Don't treat us like idiots and tell us again that he got bit by a friggin' spider.
But I think the reason they're doing that is because it's now come under the auspices of Marvel Studios. It's going to be a good slice of popcorn fun. And that's all I really want it to be.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I will be there, well, probably with you watching
More than likely.
More than likely.
Yeah.
So I'll be there with my Spider-Man t-shirt on, watching it and really enjoying it. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. What I'm also kind of looking forward to, kind of really worried they're going to get it right, is Skyfall.
Bond
the
23.
New Bond movie.
Yeah.
Well, we all know my opinion on Casino Royale and Quantum Solace.
Yes, yeah.
Big letdowns. Skyfall, to me, this is their chance to actually make a Bond movie. That's why I'm looking forward to it. It's a Bond movie With me, I think a Bond movie is 50-50 whenever you go watch a Bond movie. You go and watch a Bond movie and it's either going to be really good or it's going to be decidedly average.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll give it a punt. But I'm going in with expectations quite low and I'm hoping to be surprised.
And I think you will be. I think you've got... Sam Mendes is an interesting choice as a director.
Yes.
But I think he can pull it off. I'm hoping you'll walk out of there and go, actually, that was pretty damn good.
Oh dear. What? I agree, it's not my best disguise.